Howdy, and welcome into episode 4 of the Mason and Zane Show. I'm your host, Richard Zane. My partner in crime, Mitch Mason, has gone home for spring break and is not able to do the show with me here in College Station. So you just get me this week, and I'm going to try and do my best to do this solo. We'll see how well it goes. I do have a lot to cover for y'all since we didn't do a show this Thursday due to us both studying for midterms. But that said, we get to go back and recap not only this past weekend with Brown, but midweek games against UT Rio Grande Valley, and unfortunately we have to rehash that Shriners College Classic in Houston. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the recap. We'll go ahead and go all the way back to not this past weekend, but the weekend before it in Houston. First off, we've got the Friday game against Texas Tech, Minute Maid Park. Beautiful day for a baseball game. Roof was open, beautiful setting, and the Aggies did not disappoint. Brigham Hill came into his third start of the year and went 7 shutout innings, struck out 8 Red Raiders. The Aggies strung 15 hits together and plated 9, cruised to a 9-0 victory over a very good Red Raider team. They were ranked number 10 in the country, I believe. Tim Tadlock has that team in great shape so far this year. Shoemake and Foster both homered in that game. What a great feeling for them, both homer in a major league ballpark. Moving into Saturday, the Aggies felt really good, picking up the first win, getting a good start to the weekend. They faced the number 1 TCU Horned Frogs, coached by Schlossnagel. The Aggies jumped out early, scored 5 runs in the first inning, knocked out freshman starting pitcher Nick Lodolo in the first, only got 2 outs in that ball game. And at that point, we felt like the Aggies were just going to cruise to their second win of the weekend, but we could not be more wrong. The thing that makes great ball clubs good is that they don't go away, and there's absolutely no quit in them. And after the Aggies scored those 5 runs in the first inning, TCU got back 1. That might not seem like a lot, but it allowed them to stay in slam range and keep their momentum building, and they eventually tied the ball game up in the 10th inning. Not the 10th inning, the 9th inning. In the top of the 9th inning, the Aggies were up 8-5, and Hunter Coleman brought home 2 and made it a 10-5 game, 5-run lead going into the bottom of the 9th inning. We felt like it was over. The Aggies had a shot to bring back Corbin Martin, who had gotten the last 4 outs of the ball game and had only given up 1 base runner via the walk. Could not touch him. The Horned Frogs absolutely could not sniff the fastball from Martin on that Saturday night. And I thought that Rob Childress really should have brought him back out for the 9th inning in a non-save situation. Why waste your closer? Whatever. I'm not the manager. I don't get paid to make those decisions. Childress brought in Sherrod in the top of the 9th inning, and it was ugly. Sherrod, trying to think, did not get the first 2 outs. He ended up walking 3 guys, and then Richardson came in, walked another couple guys. The Aggies gave up 5 runs on just 2 hits. Absolutely heartbreaking. We went to extras in the 10th inning. Aggies couldn't do anything. The 11th, all the way through the 5th inning, the Aggies would not score another run. And eventually, in the 5th inning, Warner came through with an RBI double, and TCU took the ball game. TCU's pitching in extra innings, Sean Weimer came in and threw 5 shutout perfect innings, struck out 9 Aggies. The Aggies struck out over 20 times. I believe in this book I have a count of 25. That is unofficial, however, because I ran out of room. The game went so long. Couldn't fit in the 15th inning. It was a really tough night for the Aggies. We finally got out of that game at 1:56 in the morning. It was a 5-hour and 51-minute ball game, a record at Minute Maid Park. The second longest game would be that, I believe it was an NLDS game against Atlanta in 2005. Went 18 innings. The Astros ended up winning. They played 18 innings in just 5 hours and 50 minutes, so we bested that record by 1 measly minute. I guess that's the only, not that's one of the only bright spots to come out of that game. Another bright spot was Kaylor Chafin looked absolutely dominant again in extra innings. He threw 6.1 innings, only gave up 1 run, ended up getting the loss as of that 1 run. Came home and scored in the 15th. Struck out 7. I thought he should, earn more starts in the weekend, maybe work into a Sunday or Saturday starter role. I also think he should get this started on Tuesday against Texas. Again, not my decision, but I do think right now we should go back and talk about Rob Childress' thought process in bringing in Kason Sherrod in that 9th inning. Corbin Martin went 1 in the 3rd innings, only faced 5 guys, walked 1 of them, struck out 3 of them. Horned Frogs could not touch his fastball at all. I felt like as a guy who struggled for the first part of the year, he should come back and get to pitch in that 9th inning. And, if he loses it, if he can't throw strikes, can't find the strike zone, or he's getting hit, getting shelled or whatever, then you can bring your closer in a save situation. Not in a game that's 5-run, what looks to be a blowout, looks to be in the bag just to get the guy some work. Came in, could not record an out, gave up 3 earned runs, didn't really record an official at-bat, walked 3 guys, and, we haven't really gotten a chance to see him since, but hopefully he's not still messed up from that. Anyways, Rob Childress thought he should go to his closer. He didn't work out for him, really got bit, where you don't want to be bit. Fortunately, Aggies could not come away with that win, and, that was so tough. Getting home, getting back to where we were staying in Houston at like 2:30 in the morning was real rough. That was just not fun, and then having to wake up realizing that you lost the ball game and you've got another ball game the next day, it was rough. But anyways, Sunday was a new day. Aggies had a chance to wrap up a second win, win a second game on the weekend against Baylor, another former Big 12 rival, as they faced all weekend. Aggies got a 3-0 lead early, could not hang on to it again. Mitchell Kilkenny went 7 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. Baylor didn't score until the 6th when a single, double play scored the run, no RBI there. But then in the 9th inning, Baylor scored 5. Yes, 5. They ended up winning on a walk-off grand slam from Tucker Cassidy, who went 2 for 3 on the day. 4 RBIs, all 4 of them on that grand slam, and it was an absolute moonshot off Corbin Martin. They say harder it comes in, the harder it goes out, and good God, it was an absolute bomb. You knew it was gone off the bat. I turned around, didn't even want to see where it landed. And, it broke our hearts twice in the same weekend. But best thing about baseball is there's always another game, and they had 2 more on Tuesday and Wednesday against Rio Grande Valley. But let's go ahead and recap the Shriners College Classic overall standings. TCU went 3-0. They obviously are your Shriners College Classic champions. Texas Tech and Baylor both went 2-1. LSU and A&M 1-2, and Ole Miss at 0-3. The SEC had a very poor showing. Only got 2 wins out of the 9 games they played in. I would give our players of the week to Brigham Hill and Logan Foster. Brigham Hill 7 innings, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts in the win against Texas Tech, and then Logan Foster hit .412 in the Classic. SEC Freshman of the Week. He's absolutely mashing the ball so far this year. The rest of the SEC was pretty stagnant over that weekend. Arkansas did drop out of the rankings. They lost to Arizona and Oklahoma State in their Classic tournament in Frisco. That's what the Aggies will be playing in next year. Number 2, Florida stayed at number 2. They swept Columbia. They would drop after this week. LSU, as we mentioned, dropped from number 4 to number 7. USC, South Carolina, dropped from number 5 to number 8 after they lost 2 games to number 14 Clemson in the Battle of the Palmetto State. Ole Miss had a really rough week, dropped from number 11 to number 16 after a winless week. They could not win. They went 0-4. Your Aggies dropped from number 15 to number 7, and Vanderbilt lost 2 ball games to Cal State Northridge, dropped from 17 to 25. Other scores around the SEC: Auburn went 2-1 against Lipscomb. Alabama swept ULM. UGA 2-1 against UAB. Tennessee swept Norfolk State. Kentucky swept UCSB. The Gauchos could not get a win against the Wildcats. Missouri, the Tigers swept UIC, and then Mississippi State, another SEC team who has struggled out of the gates, went 1-2 against Arkansas on that weekend. And that sets the stage for this past week, the week of the 6th through the 12th. The Aggies hosted the UT Rio Grande Valley Vaqueros on Tuesday and Wednesday in a rare midweek series, I guess you would say. They played a night game on Tuesday and then a day game on Wednesday, so UTRGV could get out of College Station and get back to their campus or wherever they were going for their weekend series. Mitch and I, neither of us could not make it. As I mentioned, we were studying for midterms last week. Not much to note here as the Aggies won 16-7 and 7-4. The only thing I do have written down is Cole Bedford picked up 4 RBIs in the midweek, played both games, got both starts, 2 RBIs in each, and that would set the stage for a weekend series with the Ivy League Brown Bears. Friday night, Brown came in, and the Aggies put up 6 runs early. Through 2 innings, they were up 6-1. Brigham Hill went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs, his first runs of the year. ERA is not going to remain perfect. We knew that, unfortunately. He's picked up his 4th W of the season, though. On Saturday, a game that would end up getting postponed after the 8th inning in a 2-2 ball game, rain came down and fell at Olsen Field. Couldn't finish that game, as though they did try. They played 8 innings, just got a little too wet there before the 9th. Olsen Field groundskeeper Nick McKenna and his crew were out there until like 1 in the morning when they pulled the tarp and worked through the night to get the field ready. Excellent job by him and his staff, as they did get the place ready for the resumption of that Saturday game and the entirety of the Sunday game. Now, as we resumed that Sunday game, Corbin Martin came back out. He threw a perfect inning in the 8th inning against Brown, and he came back out and struck out 2 more in the 9th inning to kick off the resumption of that game. He picked up 3 strikeouts, only faced 6 men, 2 perfect innings for him. Good to see him get back on the right foot. And then in the bottom of the 9th, the Aggies had the bases loaded after a Joel Davis single. Cole Bedford sacrificed him to second, and then intentional walk, and then a walk to Pennington. Austin Homan came up, and the man picked up an RBI via, another walk. 3 Aggies walked in that inning. Aggies won the game 3-2, and then we would play another one. Let's play 2, as the great Ernie Banks said. I guess it would be a doubleheader, our second one of the year. Anyways, the scheduled Sunday game featured Mitchell Kilkenny. He went 7 innings, gave up only 1 run as the Aggies cruised to a 5-1 victory. Turner Larkins made his first appearance of the year. A lot of people on the message boards at TexAgs and all over the place had really been asking questions about that young man. The latest I could gather was he was sitting out the first couple weeks because of shoulder soreness. Good to see him get some game action before conference play starts up. He is a guy who is expected to be in our rotation by year's end, and we'd like to see him continue to get better. Players of the week, I would say Cole Bedford. He picked up 5 RBIs, played 3 games this week, and then Mitchell Kilkenny. He picked up his second win and picked up 7 innings of just 1-run ball game in the win against Brown on Sunday. Absolutely what you need out of a Sunday starter, someone who can come in and just put it away and help you out. The rest of the SEC through this week, Florida had a tough week, lost 2 games in the midweek to FGCU, dropped from number 2 to number 5, so not really a tough week, just not what they would have hoped. LSU stayed at number 7, even though they did lose in the midweek to McNeese State. South Carolina had a perfect week, and they would stay at number 8. Ole Miss stayed at 16. A&M stayed at 17 following a perfect week, and then Vandy finally moved up from 25 to number 24. They swept UCA in the midweek and went 2-1 against St. Mary's over the midweek. Alabama 3-1 against Pine Bluff. Arkansas 2-1 against ULM in the midweek, and then 2-1 against Rhode Island. Auburn lost to South Alabama, beat Kennesaw, and then 2-1 against Presbyterian this past weekend. UGA split a midweek series with Xavier and then lost 2 out of 3 to Rider. The Bulldogs are now 7-9, the SEC's worst record, the only team with a losing record in the entire conference. Kentucky went 4-1 this past week, a win over Wright State in a sweep against Miami. The lone loss coming Wednesday to Cincinnati. Mississippi State put together a 4-1 week, the only loss coming against LA Tech. They are now 11-6. We'd like to see the Bulldogs get headed the right direction. Missouri is a big bright spot out of the SEC East. They had another perfect week, 5-0. They are now 15-1, a real surprise up there in Columbia. Tennessee went 2-1 against Cincinnati this weekend. They only have 2 losses as well. So the SEC East seems to be a lot better this year than they have in years past, with Missouri leading the way at 15-1, Tennessee 11-2. Florida 12-5, South Carolina 11-5, Kentucky 11-6, Vanderbilt 11-6, and then Georgia 7-9 at the bottom. In the SEC East, your Aggies have the best overall record. They are 14-3. Arkansas is 12-4, LSU 12-4, Auburn 12-5, Ole Miss 11-5. Mississippi State 11-6, and Alabama is rounding out the SEC West at 9-6. Around the country, TCU dropped from number 1 to number 3. You have a new top 5. That would be Florida State, Oregon State, TCU, and Louisville. A lot of mix-ups in the top 25 this past week, as both TCU and Florida had subpar weeks for them. But now we're going to go ahead and get to preview a game that I know I've been looking forward to. Certainly, I have it circled on my calendar. It's the biggest game of the year so far, even though it's a non-conference midweek game that means absolutely nothing in the long run. Your number 17 Texas A&M Aggies will travel to Austin. Yes, that's right, Austin, Texas, to face their bitter rival, the Texas Longhorns. Texas A&M has already announced a starter. Rob Childress said on Sunday that Jason Doxakis will likely get the start. So far, he is 0-0 with a 6.14 ERA. Texas has not announced a starter, although I do know for a fact from talking to my good friend Kyle Johnston, who pitches over at Texas, that he will not be getting the start, but we should likely see the fireballer come out of the bullpen later, and I think that that's where this game is going to be won. It's going to be won with the bullpens. The Aggies have been slow so far this year. The bullpen has not lived up to what we expected from them this year and have not lived up to what the standard has been set from last year's club. Well, hopefully, in a best-case scenario, I'd like to see Jason Doxakis go 5 or 6 innings, turn the ball over to Martin, Sherrod, Richardson, and Minor, whoever Childress decides to go with. I think those 4 arms are our best bullpen arms so far this year. Martin and Sherrod just need to work through some problems. And, other than that, I think this should be a really fun game. Obviously, it's fun whenever A&M and Texas gets together. Texas is hot right now. And when I say hot, I mean real hot. Their last 5 games, they are 5-0. They just swept UCLA. They're batting .331 in the last week, and they are pitching with a team with an ERA of 1.12. Over the entire year, though, they are batting .246. They're scoring 5.39 runs per game, and their ERA as on the season is 2.67. And opponents are hitting just .209 against them. Casey Clemens leads the way. That's Rogers' kid. He's batting .350 so far through the year. 4 home runs in a ballpark that's not easy to hit long balls out of, slugging .633. The Aggie bats have been our bright spot all year long. Braden Shoemake batting just below .400 at .397, slugging 628, and he has brought home 23 RBIs so far in his freshman campaign. Absolutely outstanding as a fish. Not to be forgotten, Logan Foster is hitting 377, 4 home runs, slugging 739 as a freshman. Kopetsky, Chorby, Davis are all batting over 400, or all batting over 300 in their 18 starts or 17 starts so far this year. Bedford and Coleman, whoever gets the start behind the plate on Tuesday, has been hot. Bedford is batting 224 or 424 rather, sorry, and then Coleman is batting 367. The Aggies as a team are hitting 322, better than Texas. They've scored 8.82, almost 9 runs per game, but we have not slugged the ball out of the ballpark as much as Texas, just by 1. Texas has 14 home runs on the year, and A&M has 13. Should be a fun game. I would expect, for me, I think that we should expect Texas to start Connor Mays out of the bullpen. He has 2 Tuesday starts this year. He's 1-1 with a 4.40 ERA. And then just turn it over to the bullpen. The bullpen for Texas has been absolutely outstanding. Like we said, over their last 5, as a team, they're pitching an ERA with just 1.21, and it should just be a lot of fun. That game, 6:30 tomorrow night at UFCU Dish Falk Field in Austin, Texas. I've got my tickets. I'll be making a road trip to Austin tomorrow, making a day trip out of it, and I'm just looking forward to it. Having a lot of fun following the Aggies so far this year. I should be back on Thursday with a preview of this upcoming weekend series against Kentucky. Mitch Mason should be back not for this next show, but for the week after. And for that, I hope everybody's out there enjoying their spring break right now, wherever you may be. Hoping it's being a good break from school or whatever you're up to, and hopefully the Aggies can get us a victory tomorrow night in Austin. So I will see you again soon. Thank you for listening, and beat the hell out of TU.